Hi Year 2 and Woodpecker class, this is Mrs Mehmet and I'll be reading you The Pea and the Princess by Minnie Gray. Many years ago I was born in the palace allotment among rows of carrot and beetroot and cabbage. I nested snugly in a velvety pod with my brothers and sisters. I felt a tingle. I knew that somehow I would be important. Ways with peas. The time came for us to go to the palace kitchen. We were shelled and put in a bowl. We were going to be part of a new recipe. Then suddenly I was picked from the pile. I was put in a little box with soft tissue to protect me from bruising, and I was taken by the Queen. At this point in my story, I'm going to have to give you some background information. Let's start with the Queen. A year earlier, before I even grew on my pea plant, the Queen had been nagging her son. "You are nearly 34 years old, Prince," she said. "It is really high time you married. The public expect it. Your kingdom demands it. And if you are not married within 1 year, I shall stop your pocket money." The prince got quite a lot of pocket money and he really didn't want it to be taken away. "I'll start looking for a bride immediately, mother," he answered. The prince travelled the known world. He met princesses of all shapes and sizes, with a wide range of hobbies and interests. Too loud, too quiet, too energetic, too scruffy, too tidy, too funny, too grumpy, too sleepy, too pink, too scary. Strange pets. None of them seemed really right somehow. After a year's search, the prince returned home feeling glum. "Right, that's it!" shouted the Queen. She stormed off to the palace kitchen. She came back with me in my little box. "Now," said the Queen, "listen carefully. This is something only queens know. A real princess will be able to feel this little pea as she sleeps, even if she is sleeping on top of 20 mattresses and feather beds. And you are going to marry the first girl who can feel this pea." Wanted real princess. Months passed. I spent most nights in the darkness under a pile of 20 mattresses and feather beds and a princess. In the morning, each princess would be asked, "And how did you sleep, my dear?" by the Queen. The princesses had all been properly brought up. They always answered politely. "Like a log, thank you, ma'am," or "like a baby, thank you, ma'am." And they all said, "What a comfortable bed." They were, as I said, all very polite princesses. The prince will never find his princess at this rate, I thought to myself. I must help somehow. One night a furious storm raged. Rain lashed the palace. Thunderclaps shook the walls. Lightning flashed through the window panes. There was a little knock on the palace door. A small wet person stood on the doormat. Could this be the real princess? Gasped the Queen. Before she could say a word, the small wet person was put to bed on top of 20 mattresses and feather beds, with me, of course, underneath, in the darkness, under the mattresses. I recognised the soft snoring. I must help, I thought. I tried jiggling and wiggling. The snoring carried on quietly. I must do something, I thought desperately. I inched my way to the edge and then I started to climb. Slowly I struggled to the top of the towering pile. I softly rode across the pillow right to the girl's ear. There is something large and round and very uncomfortable in the bed underneath you, I whispered. And while she slept, I told her about the large, round, uncomfortable thing for 3 hours. In the morning, the Queen asked the girl how she had slept. Oh, it was awful, she sighed. Something large and round and uncomfortable was bothering me all night. The wedding was very grand. The Queen was interested to meet the new princess's family. I'm sure they will all live very happily together. And as for me, I became a very important artifact and now have my own glass case. I am on display, and if you visit the right museum and look in the right place, you may chance to see me. The end. Hope you enjoyed the story.